All right. What's up, everybody? Let's load up some charts. VWAP, price action. We've got the notion already in Forex Factory. How's everybody doing? Can we do a quick audio check here? 1, 2, 3. All right. What's up, guys? What's up? Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening, depending on where you are, of course. Had something to take care of, but we're here. Thank God that we made it in time. I was struggling. I thought, we might just not be making it, bruv. But we here. We here and we're kicking. Reset chart view. Reset the chart view there. Reset chart view here. And then reset chart view there. Audio is good. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. Let's get the sponsorship in. And then we're gonna give it like a minute or two before we kick it off. So first things first, like, how was the weekend? Did you guys do anything? Anything nice? Maybe some time with the kids, or the weather was nice. Maybe some beach. The weather here was pretty good, so boy, we were just chilling with the kids in the backyard. To be honest, let's shout out some names. So we've got Tiger and Mowgli. What's up, man? What's up, bro? Karma, Leon, of course, with us every time. The Goldfinchy. What's up, Gianna? What's up, man? Hope you're doing well, bro. Maurice, good night, good evening. What's up, XYZ? Hope you're doing well, bro. We've got Just Cole with us. Vertical, good evening. That's nice, Leon. Like, that's honestly, it's how the weekend should be spent, to be honest. What's up, Tomif? Hope you're well, man. Hope you're well. Yo, Mando, what's up, man? First time catching me live. Damn, you're in for a treat. Like, after a minute or 10, I always turn on the webcam and you'll see me dance on, some inflated duck or some shit. It's worth your time. What's up, Dino? Hope you're well, man. How are we doing both BTC and Ethereum this week? I mean, are we? Let's just load it up to see if we have open chart book. I don't know. Maybe. Depends. Depends on how quickly we run through BTC. Okay? What's up, Nico? Hope you're doing well, man. You found my channel 2 days ago. Interesting. How did you find the channel? You're looking for TPO related content, or I mean, if there's enough engagement, yeah, I mean, sure, but is there, right? Are we at 2K views with the previous stream? Don't think so. All good though. All good. As long as I can help. The numbers will grow eventually. They will come eventually. I'll just continue to put out the best content there is. No worries. So, see our chart. We've got the prep, VWAPs, regular chart, rotational within the big ass composite. I think this week is going to be fun. For those of you who are in the Discord, right, we're getting that shift above the all-time high value area low. So essentially, like a quick peek here on Ethereum. Might just go over that in a bit. But you will want to see this hold of support, to be honest, for that rotation higher, 4K-ish. Let's see if CR chart wants to work with me today. It does. All right, it does. Okay. Let's start the prep, and then we'll see if we can finish it in an hour. We're going to be including it all. I think it randomly popped up on my YouTube, and since I'm new to TPO, watch all of your recent videos. That's good, man. That's good. Like, are you guys? By the way, are you guys liking the new content? Like, the daily breakdowns where I'm like day 1, day 2. There hasn't been a day 3 and a day 4 because it's weekend and I need to be touching some grass. But do you guys remember that day 2? I think, what was it? Was it this rotation? Look at that, bro. So super clean. Like, I'm pretty pleased with the video because this was exactly what I wanted to put out. Like, this is time and space. Like the gap, retest, reject, boom. right? 1 sec. Let me just sort out some shit here. Sounds like a hollow room. Oh, that's better. It's no grass season. I mean, honestly, it is, bro. Otherwise, you'll go nuts. Okay, enough chit chat. We're going to be starting off the prep. Everybody ready? H4. This is ETH. We're going to be starting with BTC. Hourly chart. There we have it. So first off, am I holding spot bags, bro? Of course, man. No, I'm stacking that shit. I'm stacking. I'm mainly trading spot on yearly VWAP. All right, let's go. Let's go. First things first. Prep. Recording the stream. Don't have to do that. It's on YouTube today. Bitcoin daily prep. It's the weekly prep, obviously, but it's the 20th of July already. Tick size is 100. I have adjusted that. So if you're a CR chart trader, studies, go towards your TPO studies and make sure that this is set at a 100 because we need to be accounting for the volatility that we're currently getting. And I think currently 100 is a sweet spot for your tick size. Impact for news. Do we got any this week? Oh, we got like a pretty empty week. I'm not sure. I think we had some shit end of August as well, but I think the only market moving event that we have Thursday. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me know in the chat if I do. But Thursday, July 24 seems like the only market moving event where we got unemployment claims, PMI, flash services. So slow week until Thursday with unemployment, and PMI, right? Which is good for us. Recent developments. So let's just dive straight in. Market profile last week. Let's start off on the big screen. Right? What are we doing here? Like, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do this in its own block. 8, 9 days right now where we do have an anomaly towards the upside here. But essentially what we're doing is that we're forming a 9-day composite, in my opinion. Now we can fine tune it in two ways. We've got a naked value area high there. We've got a naked value area low there. Naked value low there. Single prints there. So the anomalies that I want to be, that I want you to know that they're there are these, right? Naked value area high, naked value low, single prints. But the most important takeaway here is that if we go towards this chart, which is the composite chart, and let's get rid of this. Essentially what we're doing is merge. Right click, merge. 1, 2, 3. No value overlap whatsoever, right? I know, but the bigger picture. Merge, merge, merge. And then we've got like 7, 8, 9-day composite. This to me, this profile here, that's looking good. So it's funny that last week at the beginning of the week on Monday or maybe even previous week, I'm not sure if we were discussing this, but I certainly discussed it in one of the daily profile videos that I uploaded last week where I'm like, I think that we're going to be forming a bigger composite here. And when we do, I want to be aware of the value area high and the value area low. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting a horizontal ray at the value area high and the value area low. I'm going to undo all merges. And then right now, I am aware that this is a 9-day, potentially 10-day composite, okay? So a clean break above value, what's that? Bullish, boom, towards naked value area high. A clean break below, bearish, boom. Rotation towards single prints and equal lows, right? So going into the, not the remainder of the week, but heading into next week, your main area of interest is going to be around these two values, right? Because it's from the 10 days of overlapping value. Now, does that mean that we can't really add any other days short term? Sure, right? Because within this composite, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 days of overlapping value. Not this day, right? There's no value overlap there. However, from this point on, value overlap, value overlap, value overlap. So what we're doing, merging. Right click, merge, merge, merge. 4-day composite. Rotational, right? Balance is all we know. So what I like about this is we've got a 4-day composite value area high that is confluent with the 10-day composite value area high. So in my book, if Bitcoin is able to have time and space, I believe that we have the developing month value area high here, somewhere here as well. I will show you guys in a bit later on when we go over VWAP. But heading into next week, this is our bearish line in the sand. And a clean break above form value similar to, let me show you, undo all merges. We got a 2-day composite, right? And then we had this in-on block, in-on column. So this is where the market broke away from value, right? So what does that mean? From the previous stream, this is where we shifted condition. That should have been bullish. Now remember, if by the way, for those of you who are watching this stream for the first time, what's up Daytona? Make sure that you watch my previous stream where I went over the laws of market dynamics, right? Because then you would have known acceptance backward in value. This is where we shift condition again. Now this is becoming resistance for a law for its reversion, right? Back towards the opposite extreme. That's what we got. So if we're getting this structure, but we get it here, I'm bullish against 119. And I'm targeting equal highs into a anomaly in the form of a naked value high and potentially even higher. I don't know, but I'm just going to be, listen, all you need to have intra-week are these short-term rotations, right? And we can see that the current composite is good because look, we are not able to close below. So that's an indication that we are using the proper composite. So I'll be leaving this as this profile right there. And we are also aware of the bigger 10-day, right? So we are rotational, lower time frame within the 4-day. Is it super wise to be shorting a breakaway from a 4-day composite whilst we are trading within the 10-day? Let me know in the chat quickly. Let's do a bit of an educational threat. I can't pronounce that. Should we be shorting a break below value or no? Or what should we be looking at? Because this is exactly, this is, I see two flaws a lot of people make. They are too focused on the lower time frames and they have like, oh, 100x. they say, all right, once we have a break from value, this is bearish, but no, bigger picture, 10-day composite. So the trade here would actually be look for absorption at the 10-day composite value low, then reclaim, then this is an A+ long for a move back into the value high, potentially higher, right? Acceptance below the 10-day, then holy shit, yeah, right? We're breaking this down. But other than that, no. The other mistake that I see a lot of people make is whenever there's a, let's say that we open up above value, right? We're bullish against value area high. We auction towards it, no reaction at all. We cleanly break back within value. To me, that's an indication I'm shorting this on a retest. Retest it, I am short there. And then people that wake up late or whatever couldn't make the trade, they see this chart and they're like, fuck, I missed this short. I'm longing the first retest of that level. Is that a good trade? No. Because this, wait, different color. Different color. I've got fancy tools right now. This is where we have a shift in condition. Where we go from imbalanced towards balanced. This is what we call a destination, right? So we short this. This is our destination. Once we start trading here, let's go blue. We auction lower. Once we start trading here, do we have like a shift in condition? No. So do we have a proper trade? No. The proper trade here is try to break from value into 10-day composite, reclaim, shift in condition. Now that's a trade that I want to take, right? Does that make sense? This is super important. You don't see a whole lot of people talking about this. But this is really, really important because you will just end up taking a long at the value area low and this just straight up nukes in your face. And if it goes straight down before retesting, yeah, but the trade would go from an A+ towards a B trade, for example, right? These are the best structures. If it just goes straight down, then we remain rotational. Then, the more time we spend here, then the lesser quality the trade becomes. But let's not make it too long here. So we are now aware of the anomalies. We're trading within a 10-day, also trading within the 4-day. Also, right? Weekly value. Let's go back to yellow. I'm pretty certain that we're going to be closing the week. Oops, wrong button. That we're going to be closing the week like that within this value area, which means next week we'll open up within value. What are we looking at? Value area low, value area high. Okay, so we're just aware that this continues to be a range bound market. Now, next week, let's say that we open up, drive lower, then reclaim previous week value area low. Then I think this is the low before new highs, right? A whole lot will depend on how Ethereum is trading at that time, but that's basically what we want to be looking at. Yes, I've got like a lot of videos on my YouTube channel, so just definitely check them out, and I'll be breaking this shit down every day, right? We're doing a daily series, so people were thinking that I'd be doing like one video once a week. No, I'm going to be doing every day a single video, only about TPO though, not about VWAP, not about everything else, not about just TPO, okay? So let's write this down. Market profile formed a 9-day composite. We also formed a 4-day composite. We are likely to close and open within previous week value. Naked value high above as a likely destination. Naked value low and single prints at 115k as a likely destination. But until then, range bound, right? We are range bound within a 9-day composite. Clean break above there. Clean break below these and the singles. Okay. Now moving forward. Wait, Leon is asking something. Sorry for the question, but why do you take into account 40 composite within a 9-day? Just because? No, it's because during these consolidations, oftentimes this tends to become like a 10, 12, 13, 14-day composite, right? We're going to be getting like a huge composite here as Bitcoin is trying to find new value at these elevated levels. That's perfectly fine. However, you should basically compare what I've just said to having a weekly bias whilst also wanting to have like an H4 time frame look, right? So I have a higher time frame understanding of the 9-day composite here. So I am aware that we are trading within the bigger picture right there. But I also want to know, like, what are we doing most recently? So if we're trading below a most recent 4-day composite very low, yes, I want to be a buyer there, but I also want to be a buyer there on that reclaim, right? So that is why I want to be aware of multiple composites within one. Does that answer your question? So for the execution part, there is, the stop goes there. Once you see that we're trading back below within that value. But let me know if that answers the question, Leon. So I'll move forward in the meantime. So we're going to go towards VWAP, and the yearly is it's still looking good. We're kind of front. The thing that I like here is that we've got the standard deviation 3 on the developing year now lining up with the standard deviation 4 from 2024, right? So we're basically pinched between these two values on the yearly. I see a lot of people who are potentially willing to long a potential retest there. I think if Bitcoin is bullish, we should not be giving everybody the picture perfect retest, right? I will allow for maybe a sweep, fill in this gap into some monthly structures, then reclaim ASAP for a move into 128, where I think there's a likely chance of forming, the next high. But until then, like I will not be really interested in looking for longs there because I think that will be bearish, to be honest. So the yearly looks good, just rotational between standard deviation 3 from previous year and standard deviation 4 from the previous year. If we're taking a look at the quarterly here, please do not use quarterly developing value as a quarterly value because it's not a quarterly value. We are only going to be using this developing value after the first month of the quarter, right? Because right now, what is it? It's a monthly VWAP, right? It's the same thing. Quarterly value, monthly, started at the same date. So, we're not using developing value. The only thing that we could say here is that we're bullish because we're accepting above that previous quarter value high. Sure. However, this is so far away, not really relevant within my prep for this week. So I'm not going to be using that. This is more interesting to me because this is actually the first time where Bitcoin is trying to break away from developing month value area high, and it is failing to do so, right? Enough time and space here to indicate a potential shift in condition where we go from a trend towards a bracket. And that bracket is between 120 and 110, make no mistake, right? Where we have the point of control there around 115. So if Bitcoin is not able to accept back above the developing month value area high, we need to assume that a run of these lows into monthly VWAP is on the cards, right? Also, the monthly developing value area high is confluent with that 9-day composite value area high. So that makes a really good case. Look, that makes a really good case for a bearish line in the sand heading into next week, right? Developing month value high, 9-day composite value high. So if there's going to be rejection, it should be within this area. Let me just double check on that weekly developing value, by the way. Developing week value high, that's all the way down here. All right. Right, so just to show you guys that we are bracketing basically within this range. Well, let me just outline that. 9-day. This is the range that we're trading within. Okay. So the weekly rotational within developing week value, we had some really clean rotations from developing value high towards developing value low, confluent with previous week value high. I usually do not trade these developing values on their own. Instead, I'm looking for previous values as well to, to have some overlap with these structures, as I do think it is a better way of trading. Now, we're unable to accept above the developing week. To answer one of the questions, could you see the 7-day rolling VWAP causing a failed auction to the 9-day composite value high? Let's just take a look at that later on when we've got like a regular chart in front of us, okay? We're covering rolling VWAP in a bit. So weekly, rotational. Let's put everything within the prep. Long-term VWAP. Yearly is rotational between previous year standard deviation 3 and standard deviation 4. We're not going to be annotating the quarterly because we can't use that. However, we have acceptance within developing month value. Developing month value high confluent with 9-day composite value high. This is going to be our bearish line in the sand. Rotational within developing week value. So rotational within developing week value. Keep in mind that that developing week will become previous week within a couple of hours, meaning static line, previous week value area low, previous week value high, which again will be confluent with that bearish line in the sand-ish region there. So yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting week ahead. That brings me towards rolling VWAP. Let me just add it on the charts. Rolling VWAP, 7-day. Let's get rid of the high volume bars here real quick. So there's one thing that I want you to put out here where I'm like, we talked about this in the Discord last week as well. Where I said, well, thing is, the first interaction, if we go from a trending environment, let me just show you. If we go from a trending environment where we need to cool down for a bit, that first interaction with the yearly rolling VWAP is often going to be the best one, right? Where we're getting like some absorption, seller absorption, mean reversion back into a key contextual level, but this is often going to provide an excellent trade. The second one, pretty decent. However, the more time we spend within a range after a trend, right, the lesser rolling VWAP will do its thing. Yes, we're getting some reaction here, but that's mainly because it's also confluent with the developing week VWAP. And I think if we take into account that if we're forming a range, for example here, like this is a range bound condition, right? This chart right there. Do you see how we're just slicing up and down the rolling VWAPs? That is because these are really useful during a trending environment, but during a bracketing environment, when we're forming a range, I don't really know, right? It's a bit shit, to be honest. That is why it's very important to know when you're switching systems. So let's say that we're in a trending environment, sure, by all means, go use your moving averages, rolling VWAPs, and all the good stuff. But the moment we start to go from a trending towards a range-bound environment, it is time for price action traders, right? Monday's range, for seek and destroy, whatever concepts that you're comfortable with, right? TPO traders, composites, previous day value, and so on. So that's basically, you need to know when to switch from one system to another to account for the ever-changing conditions within the market. Now, rolling VWAP here is telling us that, okay, we're capping it, right? It's the weekend, so I'm not really surprised about that. What I do think is interesting here is, you know, the 30-day is basically going to be catching up at this point. The more time we spend here, the better for me, because at that point, the 30-day will just start catching up here, and it's going to be confluent with the developing on VWAP. But from a trending perspective, in my opinion, going back towards VWAP, right? If this is indeed going to be a shift within, let me just zoom in. If this is indeed going to be acceptance within developing month value, this needs to cap upside, and we're getting a rotation lower, right? From a structural perspective, I think that's perfectly fine, right? We've got like a nice fair value gap there. Flush everybody. Everybody's super bearish. We reclaim the low as ASAP. Then we go towards this equal high and then potentially that high. Like this would be a trade that I'm willing to take for trend continuation, because acceptance below monthly VWAP, I mean, damn, we're going to go way lower, right? So that's not really what we want. So from a risk to reward standpoint, this is your best bang for your buck. So, you know, this rolling VWAP, 7-day capping upside, and then we've got 30 days slowly catching up. Now, first off, sip of my tea. I like that single print. Yeah, I like the single print as well. All right, so first off, by the way, if you have questions, now's the time to write them in the chat, because I'll be writing this summary, and if I'm done, I'll take a look at them. So to summarize everything that we've just discussed, market profile, long-term VWAP, and so on. Both TPO and long-term VWAP are indicating that Bitcoin is moving from a trending to a range-bound environment, which is to be expected. Yes, it's a developing week, but it continues to count on, right? So it's essentially the same. Expected. It doesn't have a cutoff where it starts again every week, right? Which is to be expected after such a run higher. Heading into this week, we have a clear line in the sand for bears, which is going to be the area where we have developing month value high overlapping with the 9-day composite, 9-day composite value high. Considering that we are trading within a composite that large, it is also important to know when to switch from a mean reversion environment, right? Because basically what they're doing right now on Bitcoin is what they did on Ethereum, where let's go to that cursed coin, ETH, right? Daily. Let's get rid of all of the rolling VWAPs. Then here, right? Everybody within this range was conditioned for mean reversion trades, right? Everybody was shorting the highs, longing the lows, and so on, because, you know, works until it doesn't. But this is where it doesn't work anymore. So this is where I will allow for some fuck up here, like maybe 1 or 2 trades, but then, right, your system really needs to tell you like, okay, hey, you know, we're now accepting above what? An 8-week composite. You're pretty dumb as fuck if you continue to short this all the way up, right? Because, not trying to shit on anyone, but this is what I mean. When a condition shifts, you go with that break from value, right? And you don't really try to work against it, because you'll be the guy that continues to get liquidated with each candle higher, right? So that's basically what they're doing right now on BTC, on Bitcoin, right here, right? Everybody is starting to get really comfortable right now in shorting the highs, longing the lows, right? But there's going to be a point in time where this either accepts below the 9-day, fails to get back within, and then boom, flushes all the way back towards I don't know how low. Or we continue to break above, and then people continue to short this all the way up towards all-time high. And then they'll be like, oh, all-time high, let's go long. And then boom, we're getting a reversion again. So, timing these shifts in condition, that's going to be very key. So with that, there's also going to when to switch from a mean reversion environment to a trending environment. So what is my narrative going into next week on Bitcoin? My narrative is going to be pretty simple. H4, let's see, do I have anything of interest here? I mean, I'd be willing to be a buyer on a nice fat sweep below range low, right? Yes, we're trading below the 9-day composite at that point in time, but I'm betting on a potential that if I'm getting long here, let's say that I'm longing this with half size, right? Yeah. Then we reclaim the low. Then we accept within the composite. Then this is for me a failed shift below. And then even if you miss the initial low, what you want to see going forward then is a shallow retracement, reclaim, right? We don't have to go all the way down here for, maybe you're seeing an order block or whatever. No. If we're getting a deviation below that composite, then that value low needs to hold, and we need to be sending it right towards the highs, right? So that's one trade that I'm interested in. The other trade is going to be, if this is going to be a range high, range low, right? I don't know, whatever the market gives. If we're getting a failed sweep above, reclaim 9-day composite, right? We're rejecting at the developing month value high again. I'll look for shorts. Am I going to be targeting the single print right away? No. We're rotational within this composite. So it's just going to be a trade from the high towards the low. And then I'll decide, am I going to be keeping a runner, for example, 30%-ish for a move towards that low, right? But I'm not going to be home running this all the way down towards 109K because I think I caught a generational entry. Maybe I did, but that's not part of the plan. So I'm either going to be fading the extremes of value, or on a confirmed break above, I'll go long. On a confirmed break below, I'll go short, okay? So playing the rotations within the bigger 9-day composite. Rotations within the bigger 9-day composite until there is a genuine break from value, where I will go with that break. Pretty simple. Not interested in getting into a directional trade when we are trading in the middle of the range, period. Hypos, long. Sweep lows into 9-day, or maybe into only the high quality trades. Sweep lows into developing month VWAP, confluent with single prints, followed by a reclaim of the lows for a long towards 90 goes very high and potentially higher. Another line would be genuine acceptance above 9-day goes very high, with developing month value high for longs towards new highs. Short, failed break above 9-day was very high, confluent with developing month value high for shorts. Towards, where do we target? 9-day, really boring, was very low, and potentially developing month VWAP. Line in the sand, bullish line in the sand is going to be developing month VWAP, confluent with single prints. Needs to close at least H4 above 9-day composite very low, meaning if we're getting a sweep, a big ass, fat ass flush, I need to see like a good close above. Because, if you spend too much time and space below that composite, it's a shift from value, right? And at that point, it's bearish. Bearish line in the sand, developing month value high, confluent with 9-day composite value high. And that's it. That's a wrap on Bitcoin. So we good on that. Everybody loud and clear? Just chilling at value. Failure to break above developing month is bearish. Failure to break below the 9-day composite very low is bullish. Best bang for your buck, longs like that. shorts like that, get above here, time and space, similar to what we did there, based on TPO. Don't be a cunt and try to short this all the way up here. Go with that break from value, okay? So, before we go towards Ethereum. Oh, is he going to do Ethereum? Yes, I am. Before we go to Ethereum, there's 125 people that are currently watching. I am not moving forward until we've got 125 likes. So you better smash your ass off on that like button. And then we'll move forward. You know, I'm hustling. I need to get those hearts. I need to see that shit flying. ETH. Bang. There we go. I need to be adjusting the title as well. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Unliking and reliking, bro. Double click that shit. Okay. Sierra chart. Load it up. Ethereum. Boom. Let's go to the prep. Prep. ETH. Be gone. Be gone. Be gone. Like that. Let's get rid of this. See, I can see those likes flying. I know you guys can do it. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. You are about to find out. I'm gonna call Hawk. Hawk is here with us, bro. Hawk, I'm gonna make the biryani next week, bro. When I got my shit. When I'm getting my shit, I'm going to make the biryani. Really looking forward to that. I just need to find like those green pepperonis. I mean, that's awesome, bro. I'm really looking forward to make that. ETH. Bang. Oh my gosh, this is such a clean rotation, bro. So super clean. Look at the developing week value. Yeah, man, so I'm waiting for that as well. Like I ordered a big ass pot to be making that shit. Let me catch up. Do you do ADAS for order flow? No, I don't. I tried to do it. Too much headache. I don't know. I can't really work with it, so I've decided to just not do it. I've been hearing some good stuff about it though, so I don't know. Okay, you guys ready for Ethereum? We can remove this. Don't need that. Prep. ETH. Bang. Today it is I haven't prepared anything about this, so it's going to be raw. But I've heard you guys like that, so it's all good. 20 July. Tick size. What is my tick size currently on ETH? Studies. TPO. Settings. 40. Still 40. That's correct. All right. 40 impact news events. It's similar to BTC. We don't really have to do that. Ethereum recent developments. Market profile. Have a good evening, Jano. I will see you in the next one, man. So let's take a look at TPO here. And let's make sure studies. Let's get rid of this real quick. Hide. Apply. And then I need to go towards the settings of TPO. Otherwise, there's too much. Align. Yes, I do want it to align to help avoid some of the empty space. Look at that. So super clean. Okay. Studies. I need to do it here as well. Studies. Settings. Align. Yeah. Apply. Look, the space. Didn't do shit. Align. Apply. There you go. See? Did you guys see that? No empty space. All right. So first things first, right? If we go back in time, what do we have? Today, Sunday, Saturday, Friday. So we have a 2-day composite merge. Let's make sure that we have that on the charts. 2-day composite. How did that look, right? Initially rejected, acceptance above. Didn't get a picture perfect retest, right? Shit happens. Formed a single print. Huge breakaway from value. Cleaned up single print there. Naked value high there. And then we've got a naked point. We got a naked point fill there at 3840. Okay, 3840. So the most recent development is that I'm going to be writing while I speak, otherwise I forget. We have acceptance above recent 2-day composite value high. That's bullish, right? But I think the most important takeaway here is that if we take this into a bigger time frame, No, not this chart. This chart right here. Which one is that? The weekly, right? Yeah, the weekly. So I'm gonna take you guys on a trip down to memory lane. All the way back. All the way back towards the origin of that composite. Now, look. Remove. Let's get rid of that. Undo merges. Get rid of this. My PC is flipping the fuck out. Undo all merges within this profile. So, within the previous all-time high of Ethereum, we know the drill, right? A weekly profile. Next week opens up, closes within that previous week from Ethereum. What do? We add these 2 weeks together. Right click, merge. This gives us a 2-week composite. Now, as per laws of market dynamics, whenever we try to break away from value, we fail to do so. We ask ourselves, what is the market trying to do? Is it doing a good job? If so, fine. If not, we need to act on it. Right here, this is where we act, right? We short invalidation above the high. We target the opposite extreme. In this case, we break below value. Now, I want this on its own was already a beautiful trade, right? Super clean trade. I want to put the focus on this part here. This is where we go from a balance to imbalance, down. Is this time and space? No. Is this time and space? No. But, let me just zoom in. Do you guys see the gap here? That gap, right? Because a lot of people are always uncertain, like, what's acceptance? What is acceptance? Do you guys see that? Kind of looks like a dick, innit? Right? But do you see the gap? That's acceptance. Below 2-week value. Retest it, reject it. And then what do? We go from 37 all the way down towards 3K. Like, those are the trades that you want to be positioned, right? Now, this 2-week composite is from the previous all-time high. Is that still relevant? Of course. So let's go back towards what we currently have. Let's go back, all the way back right here, right? Let's see, how does that look? Right here. Do we have, this is what I was, get rid of this. What's that? Be gone. So this was that 8-week composite right there, right? See the gap? Acceptance above. Try to break back within. Back above here. This is where you long your tits off. Stop below the low, right? No need for guesswork. This is where you get involved, right? And then I can't even fit it on the screen. That's how big of a move we formed since then. So also an old composite rejected there, right? Acceptance above, back within. This is where we potentially have, maybe we're getting a stop there. Sure. But once we get back above there, then we get back in. What I want you to understand here by talking a whole lot of shit right now is that we are currently trying to break within the 2-week composite from the Ethereum all-time high. Previously, not super all-time high, but the previous all-time high, yeah? So I think the most important development here on Ethereum is that 3,700-ish will basically need to hold for this to continue to auction into 4K on the higher time frame. Failure to do so, and I think we might be setting up for a run off the lows back into an older composite at 3,420. Okay, so that is the higher time frame. So if I were to put that within the prep, I'd say the 2-week val from prior all-time high will need to hold for a move towards 4K, because failure to do so, that will be ugly. Okay, we have a naked point of control at, I want to be aware of that as well. Why is this not showing? Studies, settings, subgraphs, point of control, extension, value, right side, apply. And this is why this is not user friendly, right? You guys can see all the settings. 3842. 3842. All right. So there's that. So purely based on TPO, Ethereum looks kind of promising where it's trying to accept back within that 2-week value. If it holds the support, perfectly fine. If it fails, then, you know, it's wrap it up. So moving to what I have those values on the chart, right? Yeah. Let's just rename this. 2-week val. And then we've got the 2-week value high like that. All right. From a long-term VWAP perspective, the previous year value low has been capping upside since throughout this entire range. And this is why I said during the beginning of the stream, the moment Ethereum actually starts breaking above, right? Or maybe even this daily candle close, like shit, man, this is where you need to be looking for longs from your lower time frames. Because the lower time frames might be hinting at, oh, you know, maybe we're getting like a reversion lower. Higher time frame here on this daily close is telling you we're going to go towards 3100s. Acceptance above, and we're going to go towards previous year value high. The yearly, quarterly, and so on, they all trade exactly the same. If we've got like a daily profile like that, what do I tell you guys? When we have acceptance within previous day value, where do we go? Previous day value high is not different than the yearly time frame, right? So right now I'm thinking that 4K here, which is kind of confluent with that 2-week value high, it is the rolling standard deviation tree from the yearly VWAP. If we can maintain previous year value high support, like then this is going to be a good week. H12, like we got like a nice H12 block here, right? So should this become a range, failure to break back below previous year value high, then yeah, I can see us running towards 4K. But 4K will be a sticky point where I think we might be getting a cap on upside there. The quarterly looking good, the monthly looking good. Where do we, is this confluent with the H12? No, it's not. You know, let's see how this develops. The only thing that I don't really like is the amount of space that we have between actual price and developing value. It's too far away in my opinion. And then, you know, we've got the beauty of a developing week value, which is, you know, support during this trend. So yeah, really clean rotations. So long-term VWAP, most important one. Potential acceptance above previous year value high. That's bullish. And then we have developing year standard deviation tree, potential destination, confluent with 2-week value high, all-time high. Developing week value high, dynamic support. On a weekly close, we've got 36. Okay, so the next week, previous week value, look, this was the same. Let me just show you on a bigger screen. 2-hour time frame. Oftentimes people are like, holy shit, I'm missing out, right? I'm missing out on all of the gains. You know, I can't really get in because we moved away so far. Every week you will have new previous week value. Look, previous, let's go through it, right? Previous week value, we accept above previous week value high, right? Bullish, long a retest, target previous highs and hold a runner. That's one, right? One. Number two, we swept this low. I mean, unless you reject it, even if you were to wait for this close, look at that. Spike into it, long, right? Maybe a limit order or whatever. Even if you get in here, who cares a fuck, right? Stop below the low. Continue to go upwards. Holy shit, right? So, right now, if this is indeed going to be another previous week value, that previous week value high is going to be a level of interest to me. Where if we do this, spike, reclaim, it's continuation in my opinion. However, break within, tries to cleanly break above, rejects. We've got the 2-week, wait, let me just check. 2-week previous year value, 36.12. 36.12, 36.12. So that's going to be confluent, right, with previous year VWAP. So if we do this and failure to reclaim, then boop, there we go, right? We're going to be targeting lower extremes. But until then, support, okay? I think right now Ethereum is leading, and usually when Ethereum is leading, everything else turns to shit in terms of price action. But it's going to be dependent. They're connected either way. But you know, I think if you were to solely neglect Bitcoin, you would still be trading perfectly fine on Ethereum. If you were to solely neglect Ethereum, you would still be trading perfectly fine on Bitcoin. Longing Bitcoin because Ethereum is going up, for example, doesn't really make sense, right? Just trade what is in front of you. What are you seeing on the charts? And right now I'm seeing a range-bound Bitcoin, so I'll be fading the extremes, and I'm seeing a trending Ethereum, so I'll be looking at continuation plays there. Okay. So developing week value. This is actually going to be really interesting. Developing week value high will close around previous year VWAP. Bullish line in the sand. 2-week value low. We'll need to hold on a higher time frame basis. Okay. Rolling VWAP, what do we have? Let's get this out of the way. Reset chart view, Ethereum, rolling VWAPs, there, 7-day. Let's get rid of all the drawings. 2-hour time frame, 1 hour. Do we have the aggregation on? That. Basically front running the 7-day here all the time. It's funny. Do you guys remember the tweet that I posted? Like, oh, guys, everybody got super bearish. Look at this. Everybody got super bearish right here. The first time Ethereum accepts above the yearly rolling VWAP since the start of the year. Previously, right? The yearly rolling VWAP has always given a huge opportunity. Acceptance below, sure. Big rotation lower. But until then, this shit is just fucking banging, right? So, good move upwards. Taking out these highs into the value area high. I think the most important takeaway right now is that Ethereum will have to hold above that previous year VWAP, because from a VWAP perspective, we take a look at this on a daily time frame. I think it would even be better if we just form some sort of a range here, time and space, and then retest it, fail to break within, support, continuation higher. Can I have an example of that somewhere? No. But yeah, I think that will be the make it or break it. And within 10 days, we will have new monthly value. This will also be super important. But until we get these, I'll be rocking the previous week VWAP when we get it tomorrow, okay? Rolling VWAP. I'm just going to be saying trading above all key timeframes. That's it. So, to summarize this. Similar to BTC, Ethereum looks good on the higher time frame, but it will have to hold. Like, I'm not calling for an all-time high or whatever. But I think if this is a genuine break from value on the yearly, we will want to see this hold of support, because reset chart view. I think if we go below previous year value area high, we might just be getting like a big flush lower back into 32-ish, which is somewhere here, right? Maybe even previous year VWAP, who knows? But from a auction perspective, this will need to hold a support. So simply Bitcoin Ethereum was good in a higher time frame, but it will have to hold above previous year value high. Continuation higher into the 2-week value area high around 4K, which has a overlap with the developing year standard deviation 3. Failure to do so, and we are likely to retest the developing month value high, which at that time will be confluent with previous year VWAP. That's it. Narrative. The 9-day composite just browsed back. It's at the beginning of the stream. It's what we started with. But you will. I've covered it at the beginning of the stream. So what is my narrative heading into next week? Honestly, let's clean up the chart a bit, because it's too many values. I don't like that. 2-week value is going to be good, but let's see. Let's see. No anomalies. The weekly. So previous year. Look, developing week. Where's the yearly? Previous year. Okay. Previous year. And the upcoming, not the current, but previous year and previous week value high. That's it. The monthly developing month value high. Okay, so we can just call this developing month value high, 6 week value high. It's good to know. It's both a static as a developing level. That's good. Maybe we're getting something like this. I don't know, right? But we're going to be trading it nonetheless. Developing quarter, not using that. Whoops, almost fell for my own mistake. Then we've got the yearly developing year standard deviation 3. I want you to know that. Previous year standard deviation 2. Okay, so this is going to be a big ass level. Coordinates 4121, 4125. Previous year standard deviation 2. Developing year standard deviation 3. All right. Like that. 6 week value low. Let's just wrap that up all the way down. I don't really want to have that. Fuck that. 8 week. You know, it's funny. Don't need that. Maybe I'll need it in the future, but not right now. 4 hour. Structurally, it really reminds me of BTC. Look. Consolidation, big push higher, sweep lows, back to consolidation. Getting the same. Like that. Wouldn't necessarily be a bad trade. But we genuinely need to be accepting above the previous year ASAP. So for now, I don't know. Let's just do it like that. Range low. High. Just have some at least some lipstick on the charts, because otherwise we don't really know what we're doing, are we? H12. All right, 2 hour chart. Okay. So what I'll be doing this week is I'll be waiting for that weekly value to close. We've got this previous high. If Bitcoin, fuck me. If Ethereum does this, sweeps it into this and then closes back above the 2 week value low, I'll be getting long. And I'll be targeting this right here. Maybe a tree drive setup, right? 1, 2, 3. Form the high, then get a flush lower. This will be nice to trade. But that's the first thesis that I'm interested in on Ethereum. And the second one would basically be, you know, if we're getting this and then we're just going to be pinched here and we form like a multiple day composite, I'm just going to be fading the extremes here. So if we form like a multiple day range here and we sweep into the developing month value high, reclaim it, I think this is your best bet for continuation long, for a move towards the highs. And conversely, if we, you know, do this and we deviate above the high, we get back within, I'll be looking for shorts towards this, right? So for Bitcoin, it's a bit more clearer. For Ethereum, you know, I think from a high time frame perspective, we need to see as much time and space as we can above the previous year. If there is indeed going to be a flush, you will need to see a close above ASAP. And besides that, I'll be simply trading this short-term range. So is that clear for everybody? My tea, I ran out of tea. I think we nailed it within an hour, to be honest. That's good. All right. So if you made it this far throughout the stream is obviously sponsored by Bybit. I have a deal with them where, you know, both Bybit and Blowfin, if you can't really know your customer on Bybit, then you can start trading on Blowfin. We have a feature on our website, primetrading.ai, where you can link your user ID. You will need to make an account actually on our referral link. And then once you start trading on the link, you will get access once the volume threshold are met. You know, if you do want to support me in any way, that's how you can do it. If not, I would say I'm gonna cry about it. But, you know, keep a lookout on new videos this week. Support me on a comment in the video below, and you know, that's going to be it. Doesn't have perps in Spain. You can come to me, bro. Shitty weather, shitty food, but at least, you know, we can trade. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you for attending the stream, and I will see you guys next week. Take care. Peace.